How's it going, everybody? In today's video, I want to check back in with my 2024 NFL Draft Top 50. This is, of course, based on my 2024 NFL Draft Board with, it'll be over 255 players at this point, but it's my comprehensive 2024 NFL Draft Board, and here is essentially the top 50. I've made honestly, a lot of changes to the rankings. I have a ton of huge movers, and I have a ton of huge losers for the draft. But once again, I want to quickly go over the grading system, which is blue prospects. You can see the dark blue over on the right side of your screen. Blue chip prospects, and then you have your blue first round grades, which are around my top 25 players. And then the greens are my second round grades, which I'll talk about. But that's kind of all you're going to need to know. And then the third round grades, and here's the rest of my grades, honestly. But the third round grades are in yellow, fourth round grades are in brown. Dark brown is fifth round. Red is my sixth round, and then purple is my seventh round, guys. But let's get into my top 50. But before I get into that, if you're interested in my 2024 NFL Draft Board, it is on my Patreon. I have made it free for everybody, so if you want the link, it's free. But let's check back into the top 50 prospects. I have 6 quarterbacks, only 1 running back. I'm obviously really not high on this running back class. If you guys have seen my running back update video, I am insanely high on the wide receiver class and the offensive tackle class with both over 10. Cornerbacks, I've got 9. Edge rushers, I've got 7. And then for the rest of the class, 2 inside linebackers, 2 interior defensive linemen, 2 inside or interior offensive linemen, and then 2 tight ends. Mainly the wide receivers and offensive tackles are going to dominate this video. However, as you can see from my last rankings, I haven't changed anything in my top 7, and I don't think I will because, all these guys are really set in stone, in my opinion, with Marvin Harrison, Caleb Williams, Brock Bowers, Drake May, Malik Nabers, Joe Romo-Dunze. None of those guys have, none of my opinion have not changed on any of these prospects. I watched their film a month ago at this point, even more than a month ago. So I'm really solid on these prospects. Nothing is going to change, in my opinion, for these guys, probably for the foreseeable future up until the draft. But Jayden Daniels, in my last one, I had him as a late first round grade. I moved him up to a mid. I saw more of his film, and I moved him all the way up to 8, as you can see. On the side, you can see the ranking, the movement of the rankings, +1. I moved him above Byron Murphy, Byron Murphy is my favorite interior defensive lineman. He's crazy. I am going to try to go a little bit quicker with the descriptions of these players. I want to get this video under 30 minutes so that you could just filter out and see all of my top 50 and basically why. I basically want to show all the big movers of this video. Guys like Terrion Arnold are the biggest, or one of the biggest examples of my biggest movers. Brought him up 13 rankings. I saw Terrion Arnold's film. I saw Alabama's defensive film, basically, again. Terrion Arnold, he is my best cornerback in this class. His movement is phenomenal, fluid, plays with good physicality. He could play press man, press, bail. He could play off. He could play zone man. He could do whatever. He could play in the slot. He's a great cornerback. 7 interceptions in the last 2 years. He is kind of like that big play kind of guy, or the boom, or not boom or bust, but that gambler type of cornerback, where he'll either make a huge play, a huge interception, or he'll give up a huge play. It will be a little over aggressive. Guys like Trayvon Diggs are more of that type of cornerback that Terrion Arnold is, but Arnold just moves very well and is great in phase. And I moved him up 13 spots. I really like Terrion Arnold. And then moving on to the other guys that have moved down, I already talked about Taliese Fuaga. He's my favorite right tackle in this class. My second favorite offensive tackle. Plays with great power. Great run blocker. But he did move down 1 just because I moved Terrion Arnold up. Same thing with Le'Veon 2. I already dropped both of these prospect breakdowns on my YouTube. Le'Veon 2 is my best edge rusher. It's very, very close with Jared Verse because Le'Veon 2 just has the deepest bag, and he's so consistent on a down-to-down basis on the film. He's always creating a pressure, and he has great athleticism, get great athletic traits, very good quickness off of the line of scrimmage. Same thing with Jared Verse, but Jared Verse plays with a lot more power than Leo Atilitu does. Leo Atilitu is just more of a finesse pass rush guy. Verse just plays with just pure power, speed power as well. Good quick first step off the line, had a great combine. That's why I just haven't moved Verse. And I just gave him an official grade at 6.48. Quinyon Mitchell, I watched the film on, had to go to the Toledo film. He dominates wide receivers at that level. He's just so much quicker, and he's so much quicker to react, and he's so much more athletic than everybody else, all the receivers that he was facing, other than the really good competition. He's also a bit technically raw. Not a bit. He's technically raw. Definitely. But he has a ton of potential. I think he just needs to be coached up. But great hands. And great athleticism, had a great combine. Played it in the Senior Bowl. It was up and down. He did lose a few reps, but it looked positive, and it looked like he could definitely hold his own against some NFL combine or against future NFL receivers for the Senior Bowl, going up against Power 5 guys. So I did move him up 6 rankings. Dallas Turner, I didn't change a lot. I am a bit lower on Dallas Turner. He's definitely not my edge 1. But I do like Dallas Turner because he is a huge splash play guy, had a phenomenal combine. I'm just a bit lower on him than a good amount of other people. I know that Dallas Turner is top 10 for a bunch of people. But I'm not sold on him as a run defender, and I'm not sold on him as more of like a power guy. He has, the quick first up off the line. He can't convert his speed to power, but he really is like a splash pass rusher type of edge rusher. But again, edge rusher 3. Jer'Zhan Newton, I did watch his film, and I think that there is a clear gap between him and Byron Murphy. But I do like Jer'Zhan Newton a ton. He has really good pass rush moves and good quick first step off of the line. Good movement, especially for a defensive tackle. But I don't think he can. I don't think he can man a 2-gap responsibility as like a 3-4 defensive end, or I think he's a perfect like 3 tech for a 4-down set line where he isn't really faced with a ton of double teams. But he is under 300 pounds, but he's a good run defender. He's a good run defender and a good pass rusher as well. But I'm moving him up 4 just because I moved guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold up. But then moving to Cooper DeJean, I think he's the most versatile cornerback in this class. And he has good size as well, good physicality. It's just I don't think he can man an every down boundary spot. Good athletic traits though, underrated athlete. It's just I don't know how well he would play as an every down boundary. I think he can play there, but I think he would fit very well in the slot. Again, good run defender as well. Speaking of the best run defenders in this class, Terrion Arnold is true. I forgot to mention that. He has such a notable impact as a run defender for cornerbacks. But Cooper DeJean would probably be my 2nd or 3rd best run defending cornerback in this class. Mitchell, phenomenal combine. Ran in the 4.3s, 9.98 official RAS score, which is crazy. He just ran away from guys and is a phenomenal route runner at Texas. Best Texas receiver, easily. Brian Thomas Jr. is a straight line 4.3, just run in a straight line and just beat the cornerback and then just, get the catch and run for a touchdown. That's why he led the FBS in touchdowns with 17 last year. And I think that's what he's best skilled at, is a go ahead and just run and go ahead and get the ball. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry, moved him up a lot. I think he's one of my favorite man corners in this class. I think he fits best in a man way because what Alabama does is you have a man side and you have a zone side. You have one off, one press, or double press, but one zone, one man. They have a very interesting scheme, but Kool-Aid was the primary man guy, and he's got good footwork. He bulked up a bit on the offseason. He moved from like 180 to 190 something. But Kool-Aid McKinstry also good athlete. It just he isn't the best. He doesn't have the best hands. He sold a ton of picks when I was watching the film and even when I was watching a live game. Armarius Mims has potentially the best potential for a right tackle. I moved him from an early 2nd to a 1st round grade. Obviously, there are 5 I added from the last time I was here. I had 20 in the last top 50, and now I have 25. But Amarius Mims, I like him a ton because he does not allow pressure at a high rate when he's healthy. The big part is when he's healthy, because sometimes he is a bit inconsistent with the injury stuff and being on the field. And he did have a full year in 2023, but he did not in 2021 and 2023. However, he's huge. Almost 6'8", 340 pounds, and he moves pretty well as well. And then Jax Powers Johnson is my favorite interior offensive lineman. I think he fits best at center. He could come into the league as a top 10 center. He's a crazy good, great run defender, great run blocker, great pass blocker. His head is always on a swivel, good technique, but he's huge. 6'3", 328 pounds, and his movement can be a little sluggish, but he allowed one pressure. And he was like top 3 or tied for first in like a ton of blocking categories, 99.9 pass blocking efficiency. I think he could come in and step in as a top 10 center like right away. I have him as a first round grade as well. Ladd McConkey, I think he's the best route runner in this class. Great short area, just ability overall, finding the soft areas and zones. And also great ankle flexion and just quickness, great releases off of the line of scrimmage as well. And he also has some good speed. I know he didn't run a ton of deep routes at Georgia, but he ran a 4.3, so he could be a nice piece, like a nice jack or just a do-it-all type of guy at the NFL level. But I think he plays primarily in the slot. Nate Wiggins, I didn't move him at all. However, Wiggins did come into the combine at 173 pounds. However, he ran a 4.29, did get hurt in the 40, so he didn't do any other tests. However, I've liked Nate Wiggins a ton. He is, I don't know whether he was best in zone or man, but he has lockdown ability. I think he could play both man and zone. He's just a bit of a thinner cornerback, but he has good hands too. And he is just he's like a shadow for receivers. Great movement as well, good fluidity. I like Nate Wiggins. And then J.C. Latham will round out the first round guys with he's got great power. Again, with same thing with Tuli Fuaga, he plays with great power. But he's a bit bigger than Fuaga because he's like 6'7", 330 plus pounds. It's just he's definitely a bit more sluggish, and speed rushers are really his weakness. Speed and bend guys can definitely beat J.C. Latham off of the line of scrimmage. Reminds me a bit of, not Orlando Brown Jr., but that archetype of like power straight up, but a little bit of sluggish movement, and can be beat by can be beat by speed and bend guys. But again, I gave him a higher grade than what I had him last time, and he still moved down 3 spots. But again, first round grade. T'Vondre Sweat, I moved down a ton. I watched the Texas film for Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat. I know he won the Outland. He won the Outland Trophy, but he is worse than Byron Murphy. He was not the better defensive lineman. Even though he came in at the combine at 366 pounds, which is crazy, he never played the 1 tech or the 0 tech, which is a nose tackle. He would always play the 3 or the 4i, which is like the 4-3 defensive tackle, the traditional defensive tackle role that you would think of. And he is a just crazy run defender. He can hold double teams really well and just halt lines because he's just massive and plays with good power. He moves well on tape. He doesn't truly look 360 pounds. He doesn't really play like it because he has higher movement, but the athletic traits at the combine, I think he only had like a 3 RAS, which is a little lower, but as a pass rusher, he really is just kind of a straight line power, just forklifting guys, bringing up by the pads, which is kind of his only pass rush move. It really saw or his bull rush, and just trying to forklift guys. So yeah, I did move him down a ton. A guy again, Olufasanu, I'm just a lot lower on. And I probably will move guys like Fatanu and Guyton, continue to move these guys up, possibly over Olufasanu. I just think Olu lacks, I saw a bit of his film at Penn State. I think he lacks power, which is a huge negative for offensive tackles to have. Lacking power and setting, especially as a run blocker. I do not buy him at all as a run blocker. He is inconsistent setting the edge, especially against players that are like 40, 50 pounds lighter than him. But his flexibility and agility is really good. He could bend his body he could bend his body all the way back like this, blocking, which is crazy for offensive linemen. However, he's lacking power. That's why I moved him down 11 spots. Probably would move him down a bit more. But a pass blocker, good pass blocker. I know he's an All-American. Troy Franklin is another guy who was a very interesting study for me because he had 3.3 yards per route run, which is a green flag for receivers. Great after the catch, great explosive guy, good route runner, but more of like a straight line kind of he's like a crossers guy. He runs a crosser route, a post route. He's kind of that guy. But 10% drop rate, and he had like a 30% contested catch rate. He's also he's a tall but thin receiver at around 180 something pounds measured into the combine. But I think he's good. I would have him as my first early second round wide receiver, and I think he's a good fit in the late first. Chop Robinson. The way this guy's tape screams is, oh yeah, he could be the best edge rusher in this class. He's crazy build or crazy bend off of the edge, like crazy, just running around tackles. And he's got a crazy quick first step off of the line of scrimmage. Saw it at the combine. I think he led all defensive ends in the 10-yard split, which makes a ton of sense. But his stats would show a guy who's either one, inconsistent, or two, a just pure pass rushing splash player. In 10 games, only played 300 snaps, which is around 30 give or take a game. And he is not the best run defender. Also a little bit thinner for the position. I think he's around 240 something pounds measured in at the combine. Also like 6'1", 6'2". But the film is like, this dude has got crazy bend and crazy speed off the line of scrimmage. I think he really is like a 2 down max, definitely a 3 down or a third down edge rusher, because that's the most obvious passing down on third down. But then Peyton Wilson, I didn't move him, but I did move him in my head a ton. I moved him from like a 2 to a 3.7, which is where he is now. Great linebacker. He's a pure Mike in my eyes, which is a middle linebacker. He can defend the run really well. Great instincts. Great awareness. He can blitz. He's got great speed. He led all inside linebackers in the 40 time. But more importantly, he had the best tape. At NC State. He also had like a passer rating allowed of 44. He was the defensive player of the year according to I don't know what award it is. I should know what award it is, but defensive player of the year according to the NCAA. Peyton Wilson, I'm probably going to continue to move him up. I could move him as high as 26, I would say. I don't know if I'd have him in the first round, but Xavier Legette, contested catch guy. I moved him down only 3 just because I moved down guys like Franklin and Chop Robinson. Legette had a good combine, but really had a great Senior Bowl and more of a contested catch guy who's got really good speed, ran in the 4.3s. Again, a ton of wide receivers ran in the 4.3s, but he's got great, strong hands. He's a contested catch guy, a guy who his catch radius is huge. And that was especially good for like guys like Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler was the quarterback at South Carolina. His offensive line was so bad, he just had to run around and just chuck it up. But and Legette would get it. And then Fetanu. Fetanu is my first guy that I didn't have ranked. I moved him all the way up to 32. I had him like 50-something. I just didn't love Fetanu when I saw him in game. He looked a bit smaller, and it wasn't the best run blocker. And I didn't get the hype as much. And then the combine came, and then I saw a bit of his tape on Twitter. A little bit of a Twitter warrior watching that there. I have to go back with Washington a bit. Oh, no, I watched Michael Penix. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I had to recheck up back on Fatano, and I was like, okay, this dude moves crazy. He is a bit smaller for the position, 6'4", 310 something pounds, but he moves like a tight end. He is, and great lateral quickness. His shuffle, and his kick, his back kick is one of the smoothest that I've seen. And I moved him all the way up to 32. Guyton, I did move up one, but more importantly, he's just moved down in the tackle ranking in front of Fatano. Guyton is a boom or bust tackle. He is super raw technically with his hand placement. He just likes to hug guys. I saw that at the Senior Bowl a ton. However, he's huge, 6'7", 320 something pounds. His wingspan is super long, which is why he likes to hug guys and hug edge rushers. But his hand placement technically is just a bit weaker, but he has a ton of potential. He moves pretty solid, but he's just a stand-up, tall tackle. The only thing, if he's coached up technically, he could be a really good right tackle. I think that's kind of where he fits. Cam Hart, and I guess I'll talk about these guys in tandem. Cam Hart and Renardo Green, two new rank cornerbacks. I moved them really high. Cam Hart, I saw in my Marvin Harrison Jr. video, you could see a bit of that Notre Dame tape. Cam Hart is, I think, the only cornerback that really gave Marvin Harrison a really tough time outside of Will Johnson, but I'm talking about in the stat sheet because Marvin Harrison only had 3 catches for 32 yards, and a lot of it was against Cam Hart, and especially in man coverage, he just wasn't getting as much as separation as Marvin usually does. But Cam Hart, I like a ton in man coverage looks. He also has good size. I don't know what he did at the combine, but I moved him up a ton. And then talking about Renardo Green, again, this was the guy that gave Malik Neighbors a really tough time as well. He also had a pick 6 in the LSU versus FSU game. He is another. I think he's the best. Him and McKinstry are the best man coverage guys in this class, and I would have Renardo Green as my number 1 man coverage guy. 90 man coverage grade. He 15 catches allowed. He is like a stick a man coverage cornerback. He has even more potential to move up on this list as well. The only thing is just zone. He really fits in a true man scheme. It's what he fits best in. And then Jonathan Brooks, my best running back in this class. Obviously, he's my only running back in the top 50. He's my only running back probably within the top 60. Brooks has, in my opinion, the best vision, the best contact balance. He's a one-cut back. He just boom, and then he's gone. Great speed, but he tore his ACL. But I'm not moving him down because I know he has a ton of potential. If I was factoring in the ACL tear like it was a career ender, there would be no running backs on my top 50. But I like Jonathan Brooks. I saw his film with Texas when I was watching, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Brooks, Christian Jones, even Quinn Ewers. When I was watching Texas live or on film, Jonathan Brooks was ultra consistent, 6.1 yards per carry. And then Michael Penix Jr. starting off my late second round guys. I think, I'll get to Bo Nix, but Michael Penix Jr. is my biggest loser, I think, maybe of the offseason, of the entire offseason. Michael Penix Jr. Teams I don't think are going to be even willing to change their scheme because Michael Penix Jr. is going to be 24, 4 season-ending injuries, 2 shoulders, 2 ACL tears. But he was crazy good at Washington. He's got really good zip on the ball, but he doesn't love to take the check down. He loves to go deep, and he loves to challenge defenses. But his movement inside the pocket is really well, but his movement outside of the pocket is not good at all. He is a negative rusher. He's not, he's not a very good mobility quarterback, but he's good in the pocket. He's good pocket mobility. He's got great processing. He's got great accuracy. Can throw absolute dimes. Great arm power and good zip on the ball. It's just Michael Penix Jr. is just a bit old. Like he's probably will continue to move down on my board. Again, older, injuries, left-handed. It's just the kind of things that he can't control that are gonna negate him in the draft. But I still have him as my quarterback 4. I'm not gonna ignore his college production and what I saw in game and even what I saw on tape. He makes some crazy throws. I think he can be a plus, or I think he can be like a middling starter at the NFL level. But he has the highest bust potential outside of the top 6 quarterbacks, right next to J.J. McCarthy, who I'll get to later. But then Patrick Paul, same thing. I moved him down 11, but not. It's just more because I changed his grade from a late first or from an early second to more of like a mid second, which kind of negated him because I had him at 27. I think that was really too high for Patrick Paul. He's a really good pass blocker. Really good pass blocker. I think he was highest pass block. He was the highest pass blocking, or he had the highest pass blocking grade, for all tackles at the FBS level. However, competition was terrible. He really played some bad guys, and I could continue to move him down. I think I'll probably switch him with Jordan Morgan after I look more at Arizona. But again, pass blocker, great pass blocker. But more of just I'm looking at the competition he faced, and it's just really weak. All right, I got to get this down a little bit quicker. Ja'Tavion Sanders. I'm going to start going quicker for the top for these guys. Ja'Tavion Sanders, my second best tight end in the class. 0% drop rate. 0 drops in 2023, which is very impressive. Great after the catch. Good blocker. But he's a great receiver as a tight end. Jordan Morgan, another great pass blocker, but also a good run defender at Arizona. Loved seeing him in game. Great pass blocker. And good pass blocking efficiency too. Keon Coleman is just a dunk artist. I moved him up a ton, mainly because at the combine, the catching drills where it's catch, drop, catch, drop. He had a straight line, and he had the highest miles per hour in that drill, which is a very positive sign. I know he ran a 4.6. I don't care because his game speed looks higher, and again, the contested catch rate, it was in the 30s. Again, he's a late first round grade in my opinion, or a late second round grade. However, I think he can go definitely in the mid second. But he is really his hands are crazy. I think he arguably has the best hands in this class. Contested catch rate was low because he was playing with Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis isn't the best at putting the ball in the best spot for contested catch receivers. And then Xavier Worthy, again, I moved up 8, 4.21 at the combine, broke the combine record. Congratulations. He was 5'11". Maybe not 5'11". I think he was like 6 foot or 5'11", 165 pounds. That is my weight. But he's a hell of a lot faster than me. I'm probably in like the 4.9s, maybe. Maybe not the speed that I am right now. I should get in better shape. But there were just way too many screens for him at Texas. He was really, but good after the catch, and he runs away from guys. Great special teamer, especially as a punt returner, All-American punt returner. But the scheme for him was weird at Texas because they just kept on giving him just screen after screen after smoke screen, RPO screen, bubble screen, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, for Worthy, he could be a great short and intermediate guy. It's just the drops and play through contact is a bit of a negative. Darius Robinson is a guy I moved down a bit. The Senior Bowl hype on him was crazy because he was just roughing up dudes at the 5 tech. I think he does fit more of that edge role. I don't think he's more of like a 4-eye. I think he's best as like a 5 tech, which is pretend I'm the offensive tackle. He's like right here, and pretend the guard is right here. This is where Robinson would be, 5 tech. But he's got probably the best bull rush in the class. That like he just will rough guys back because he's like 280 pounds, 6'5", as a outside defensive end. But outside of his bull rush, I don't think he has the best pass rushing bag per se. Edgerrin Cooper is he's a freak linebacker because he's like a blitz and go. He can rush off the edge. He can rush in from the A gap. He could classic Madden mid blitz is really what he could thrive as, or as he'll just come around to the edge. He can also play in man coverage because he just got freak athleticism. I don't know what he did at the combine. I think he ran within the 4.5s, the 4.6s, but dude is just kind of like a wild. He does play a little too wild. Like he'll miss sometimes on the tackle. He'll want to just cut so fast and cut the running back's angle, and then he'll just cut in, and then he'll go flying, or he'll come off the edge, he'll just burn off the edge, and then the quarterback will just move up a bit, and then he'll just speed out. He's like a race car. He's like if like a race car was trying to cut the turn left, and then it just goes all the way sometimes, or goes off of the track. JJ McCarthy, again, new rank. I didn't have him in my top 50. I do have him now because I do want to watch the film for Michigan. I haven't watched. Disclaimer of this video, he is going to be a prospect breakdown. I'm going to review him. So what I'm saying right now might change, but I think he's a one velocity quarterback. I don't think he plays the best against really good competition. It was Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards that carried him, not only in the national championship, but in the Alabama game, the TCU game. He had four interceptions against TCU. He had a bad first drive against Alabama. There was an interception that was called back. That was just a terrible throw. Only 140 yards in the national championship. When he played Penn State, I think he was also under 300 yards. He just got really carried by his system. He is young. Only a 2-year starter at Michigan. Obviously, he's a winner. But the combine he didn't play at the combine. But he did measure. I think my biggest question was his size, because I thought he was going to be like 6'1", 200 flat. But he did come in at like 6'2", 220 pounds. So the size isn't the biggest concern, but he looks smaller. But I think he should minimum sit for a year. I'm just not the highest on JJ, but it could be higher depending on how I view the film. But I want to wait until I actually watch a good 3 or 4 games for him. Ricky Parasol, I have a new rank as well. Parasol had a great combine, ran in the 4.4s. I got to see a little bit of him at Florida. He had arguably the best catch this year in college football with that one-hander. I forget what team it was, but he was just... And good route running and good fluid. I mean, great catch, good over-the-shoulder guy as well. There are a lot of those in this class, so I did move him into my top... I did move him into my top 50. Kamari Lassiter. The unfortunate thing about him was I really like Kamari Lassiter. Great in man coverage, can play zone, but Georgia is a mainly man coverage team. Shadows receivers, moves very well. The only thing, obviously, that I don't like about Kamari Lassiter on film is, he does not have good hands. He's, quarterbacks, the stigma is that they're wide receivers with no hands. Kamari Lassiter would fit into that conversation. But at the pro day, at Georgia's pro day, he ran a 4.6. Even though he did play boundary at Georgia, I think he mainly fits more into that slot role. I didn't see him get burned that much at Georgia because, he played good man and he plays physical, so he really stops receivers early at the line of scrimmage. But the 4.6 is kind of a red flag, and I don't think he even had that great of the athletic drills either. Tez Walker, another guy I moved down 10. I just saw his Senior Bowl and I hated it. His Senior Bowl was rough. He's solid contested catch. Again, you'll see him 7 games, 699 yards. But Tez Walker's just an interesting player. I know he had a good combine because he ran in the 4.3s again. He's a straight line. Love that ability. Played with Drake May. But the route running is a little bit it's a little bit iffy, and he really likes to try to catch balls with one hand and not try to basket it. And then playing through contact is a bit of a question mark. He's not the best against man coverage. He might end up falling out of my top 50. But I'm Ennis Rackensstraw, again, a guy that didn't test the best. He ran in the 4.5s at the combine. I think he had an RES within the 6s or the 7s. Something solid. But at Missouri, it played very well. Played very well at Missouri. Good man coverage ability, but a negative combine. He moved it down to 9 a bit. And just more or less because I like Cam Hart and Renardo Green a lot. And I kind of just fell a little bit down on Lassiter and Rackensstraw. And then Bo Nix will finish off my top 50 because I just couldn't leave off Bo Nix. But I did move him down 20 spots, admittedly. I'm just not the highest on Bo Nix. I did watch really recently, just watched Oregon, and he has great accuracy, especially within the short and immediate area. It just felt like everything was a little... The offensive line at Oregon was so good last year. Great receivers who are really good after the catch, and a great scheme. It just felt like kind of things were just... it it was really in his wheelbarrow. And I don't think he really was too much challenged outside of, the Washington games. And the Washington games, what happens is, he lost. And then if we look back at Oregon, he was really rough, but he did mature, especially going to Oregon as a quarterback, and processes pretty well. It's just, I don't think I think he's at his peak right now. I think he played the best he'll ever play at Oregon. And going to an NFL team, I think he'll look a bit worse. So I will have him at my 50. I'll probably keep him at 50 for the rest of the year, honestly. But then with my honorable mentions, I have Graham Barton, I've got Dwight McGlothern, Jalen Polk, Braylon Trice, and Tyler Nubin, who all individually get to when I go over my positional rankings for my 2024 NFL Draft Board. But again, that'll do it for my top 50 update. If you guys want the draft board, it's on Patreon. It's free. Again, go support the Patreon. And make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.